Hey there, writers. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are talking about the three-act story structure. Sounds super boring. So why are we talking about that? Because it could be your lifeline to figuring out what comes next in your novel. I'm going to walk you through the 5 essential beats of the three-act story structure that every good, impactful story includes. Hi, I'm Nancy Basile. I'm a mystery author, and you can get my latest book, Bright Girl, using the link in the description below. Thanks to you all, I reached over 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And to celebrate, I will be hosting a live Ask Me Anything video on June 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Why should you come? Well, you can get your questions about publishing and about book reviews answered, but also I will be giving away a subscription to one of my favorite tools. That's right, a free year subscription to one of my favorite tools. Can you believe that? So be sure to be here June 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern for your chance to win. Okay, time to talk about those 5 essential beats in your three-act story structure, no matter what genre you're writing. Let's break it down. In the first act, right from page 1, it is your job to set up the world that your protagonist lives in and give us a snapshot. We get a sense of what's missing or wrong in their life a lot of times because your protagonist, your main character, does usually go on a character journey throughout the book. So this gives us a little snapshot until beat number 1, the inciting incident. What is the inciting incident? Well, it's the thing that kicks off the whole story. It's why the book is being written. It's why the story is being told. It's the thing that disrupts the status quo in your main character's life. To illustrate what each of these points mean, I am going to use the Twilight book. Number 1, because it's super popular, and number 2, because it really follows the classic story arc outline. So what do you think the inciting incident is in Twilight? Edward saves Bella's life. This is the moment when Edward reveals a part of himself. Bella sees it, and it kicks off her curiosity and her interest in Edward. The inciting incident used to happen around the 10 to 20% mark, but sometimes it happens right from page 1, and readers are getting impatient for that inciting incident to occur. And I've got a video about the death of exposition that might interest you when it comes to that. Okay, so that's beat 1. Beat 2 is actually plot point 1. What is plot point 1? Well, it happens around the 25% mark, the quarter way through your story mark. And it's the moment when your main character makes a choice that they can't take back. It sends them down a path that they can't return from. In Twilight, the first plot point is that Bella finds out Edward is a vampire. I hope I didn't spoil anything. This book's been out forever. And she can't return from that, can she? She finds out he's a vampire, and she has to choose to go forward with that. She can't really go back because she has feelings for him, and this is information she can't unknow, right? So it's the point in the plot that sends her down a path she cannot turn back from. Now we are in the second act of the 3-act structure. We've got the inciting incident and plot point 1. Coming up is the midpoint, that halfway mark in your book. It's not the climax of your book, it's just halfway. Act 2 is the biggest chunk of your story, and it is a danger zone for a lot of authors. I saw Louise Penny talk, and she calls it the muddle in the middle. It's really easy to get lost in just kind of writing stuff that doesn't really progress the plot or give you any character development. You can talk about the world and have dialogue without really going anywhere, with spinning your wheel. So you have to be very careful in the second act to make sure that you're still hitting all these points that moves your story along. This is where tension builds. Allies can break apart. Enemies can come together. Your character starts to change and the stakes start to get higher. Okay, so what is that third beat, the midpoint? This is where there's a twist or a revelation or something big happens that changes the trajectory of your character's arc. or their understanding of the situation. Maybe they realize the villain they've been chasing isn't the villain they thought they were. Maybe someone's life is threatened, or maybe someone even dies, that changes how your main character approaches the rest of the story. Or maybe it's an emotional midpoint where someone has an epiphany or a disappointment that changes how they feel about their circumstances, or a character that changes the rest of their story. What's the midpoint in Twilight? Bella gets a glimpse of Edward's power. She sees him in action. Is this when she truly falls in love with him, or is this when she decides for herself, damn, I want some of that? But from that point on, when she sees the power, she's not just curious anymore, and she's not just falling for him anymore. She wants to be part of that world. Leads her deeper into the story. Now we're moving along past the midpoint when your main character has changed how they're approaching the story, whether it's a success or defeat or whatever. So they're chugging along, doing what they think they should be doing, when bam, plot point 2 hits them in the face and again sends them into a tizzy. Plot point 2 is generally the lowest point in the story for your character. It's their dark of the night moment before the dawn. It's when all is lost and they need to figure out how they're going to pick themselves back up to take themselves to the next point in the story, which is the climax of the story. So this is a really low point, important point, when your character, either emotionally or through external circumstances, is completely lost, has no idea where to turn, hit rock bottom, and they need the strength to pull themselves back up. Plot point 2 usually happens between the 70%, 80% mark. In Twilight, the second plot point is that James, the villainous vampire, sets his sights on Bella. This works as an all is lost moment because she finds herself scared. She finds herself alone. She is in mortal danger. Something she didn't expect, I think, from the sparkly, friendly vampires she'd been hanging out with. But this is her dark of the night moment when she has to pick herself up and decide what to do about it. Into Act 3, the climax. Beat 5 is the climax, the big showdown, the big happening, the ultimate moment in the story. Everything you've been writing about has led to this point. It's emotionally charged, it's intense, it's your main character's greatest challenge. And after this, nothing will ever be the same. In a romance, this is when the couple usually comes together or has the big fight and breaks through whatever they've been working through to come to their happy ever after. In a fantasy, it's usually the final battle. In a mystery, it's when the killer is revealed. You get the idea. In Twilight, this is when Bella confronts James. And Edward, huge conflict, super high stakes. And it usually happens around the 85 to 95% mark. After the climax, there's not much left in the novel. Like I said, it happens around the 85 to 95% mark. So now the dust has settled, you're tying up loose ends, you're cleaning up any last clues. If you are writing a series, hopefully you give the reader enough of a wrap up that they feel some sort of resolution before you leave them with a teaser or a cliffhanger for the next book. But if it's a standalone book, this is where someone's entire story wraps up and all the questions are answered. It gives your reader emotional closure. So what were those 5 beats? The inciting incident, plot point 1, midpoint, plot point 2, climax. Those are all important and essential elements of the 3-act story structure. So this way, whether you like to outline your story or you like to write by the seat of your pantser, you can use this story structure to guide you through what happens next. If you're starting to spin your wheels or get stuck, this can help get you going so that you can meet your reader expectations. These are the points that are proven to impact your reader and what they subconsciously expect from a story. If you use this structure or you keep it in mind when you read a book or watch a movie, you can see this structure at work. And usually when something isn't good or doesn't quite hit you emotionally or impact you, it's because they didn't follow this structure appropriately. They didn't earn the climax of the story by building on it in the appropriate way. Using this 3-act story structure with those 5 essential elements will make sure that you are emotionally impacting your reader, which keeps them coming back for more. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up so other writers can find it. And then be sure to subscribe and show up on June 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern for my live Ask Me Anything video. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll have some surprises, and I'll be giving away that free membership to one of my favorite tools. See you next time.